it felt real to me. Like, I know I was saying words that were written down for me, but like internally I was going through something for myself. It was something kind of like healing in that moment for me inside. Like, a lot of people have been complimenting that performance so much, and maybe it was a performance, but I don't know. I felt like I was going through something else, and it perfectly lined up with me needing to do that scene. I don't know. It's very confusing to me when I think back, but it was really powerful. It was so powerful.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Sidney Flanigan is an actor. Her remarkable performance in Eliza Hittman's Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always is her very first attempt at acting. You can watch this incredible film on demand, and I highly recommend you do so. She sat down with me in cyberspace to talk about the work. There are miracle performances that I can cite in my experience of watching movies. And what I mean by miracle is they perform something else besides the normal thing a performance does. There is something else performed that has an effect on me that I don't understand. Your performance is one of those miracle performances for me. Because the miracle happened when the next day after I watch this movie, every morning I wake up and I have worries. Worries just seep into my mind. And one of the worries I had was for Autumn. And it was like she was a real person. And I caught myself, and it was so weird to have that. I love so many movies I love. I never worried about the fictional character before. And it was such a weird thing because I'm so cynical about movies. I'm so cynical about performances. For me to wake up the next day believing for a split second this person was alive. And Talia said an interesting thing. She is alive. There are girls like this, of course. And that is a really profound thing to say, but it also says something about your performance. First things first, I want to know, though, where you were in your life when you got that email from Eliza. She tells the story over and over. She met you at a wedding, just in passing. She started following you on Facebook. And the wonderful thing that she said was that she used to, when she was trying to cast this movie, she used to show people your videos and say, I want a girl like this. And then one day, I guess she just said, you know what, let's see this girl. I'm assuming she reached out to you. Just tell me where you were in your life when you got that message.
Let's see, I was 20 years old. I was living with 3 roommates. I was working at a supermarket. I played in a band. I pretty much lived with all my bandmates, and we threw shows in our basement. And that was pretty much my life. And I was happy with it, And I know, I remember I was using the bathroom and I was checking my phone up. And I remember seeing this email and just being like, what? And going into the other room and going up to my boyfriend and being like, I got this email about this movie thing. I don't even, is this even real? And then we, and I remember I just kind of I was like, oh wait, I kind of think I remember this Scott guy so long ago. And I emailed him back, and I immediately was just kind of I don't know, I'm kind of really busy, and I'm not really an actor, so I don't know. And and we just kind of left it at that. And then it was a couple weeks later, he kind of nudged me again and was kind of hey, just want to know, I know you already said no once, but do you want to maybe, I don't know, it's performing, and I think you're a performer, and you can probably do it, and why don't you just Skype with Eliza and just talk to her, that's all that's all you gotta do. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll talk to her, I'm not gonna say no to that. And and then I Skyped with her the next morning, and it was just kind of, I really liked her, and I suddenly she kind of got me interested in the story. She told me a bit about the story, and I was just all right, now you guys are kind of convincing me a little bit. So, then I read the script and I went on tape, and then she ended up flying me out for an audition, and it was just like this whole weird thing. Like, and it was weird because at the time I was like, I was just, I was kind of just starting to deal with the onset of like an anxiety disorder. And so that was like a big thing that was really scary about it, because I was like still navigating this really new kind of terrifying reality I was in all the time with this anxiety disorder, and everything always just felt like too overstimulating and too crazy. So the idea of like going to New York for 2 months without like anybody I know and doing something completely new that I knew was going to be a little overwhelming was really scary. But I guess I was just like, once I got it, I was just kind of like, you know what, maybe this will be like a good challenge for me, and it'll be a good opportunity. And it's an opportunity to do something that feels like really powerful. And I think it could be really transformative. And so, it was just one of those things that felt like, I don't know, it feels like one of those things, like when everything's coming together, and it's just, I don't know if you believe in that kind of stuff.
I do.
Yeah. And it all felt kind of like things were just falling into place in some weird way.
That's amazing.
That's amazing and beautiful. So I wanted to take me back to the moment though. So you put yourself on tape, you read the script, you fly for an actual audition, I guess, still. Like, so you weren't really given the part quite yet. Like you get there to New York, and then she tells you at some point that you have the role. What did you think you needed to have ready before day one? And did you even have in mind what was really needed in order to pull this off?
To be completely honest, I had no idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now that I've been like doing all this press, and I've been like, having people ask about my process and stuff, I've been like I'm like, obviously I feel like I was doing something, but like, it's not like I had this like it's not like I had like these bullet points in my head or like something. Like, it's not like, now that I've been, like I've taken a couple acting classes, and they teach you how to look for like, I don't know, like motivation and where the beats are and stuff. But I like, I don't know, I just kind of went into it being like, just just drawing from my own emotions and my own personal experiences, my own truths.
Yes.
And, I was kind of afraid. There was always like a bit of a feeling of, imposter syndrome sometimes, where I felt like, I don't want people to think this was like handed to me, or that, I'm some kind of fraud or something. But, I think that I've always been like, even as a musician, I've always been a performer, and I've always been very like, my original music, it's always been very emotional, and it's always come from myself and like whatever inner turmoil I'm going through. And, I found when I was trying to play this role, I was just kind of doing something similar to that, because that's what I knew. So I was just building onto that. That's what my therapist calls scaffolding. Which is like, when you're doing something new, you try to attach it to something you know. So that's kind of what I was trying, because this is a new thing. I'm not going to lie and say I had some kind of process, because I wasn't prepared and I hadn't done it before. But, I think it was a really beautiful experience, kind of like harnessing my own emotions like that. And it was kind of empowering.
Yes. The scariest thing that I've heard in maybe 3 days is what you just said there, which is that you're taking acting classes. By scary, I mean, I don't want them to do anything to you because you're already on to something.
Yeah, I mean, I took a intro to acting class at like a college nearby me, and it was just for like a semester, and it was nice and everything. But yeah, I know what you mean. I just had a session with this like coach recently she's a little more unconventional, and I really, really liked her because of that.
That's cool. And I think that's good. If somebody gets you and understands what you're able to tap into, then it can only be help, I think,
So this rehearsal then takes place over 2 days, which I talked to Talia about, and I'm so fascinated by this journaling that she had you guys do, and this idea that, you know, Talia said a really interesting thing, which was that the benefit of that really to her was summed up in that it really helped her be able to fight for you, meaning Autumn. And
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting, and I could feel that in her performance. But I wanted to know what those 2 days, and specifically the journaling and that kind of sharing of intimate stuff, how that helped you coming into this, not having acted before, and just how did that tangibly affect you?
Yeah, I mean, I really loved that Eliza did that because, you know, I thought, I mean, I don't know how other directors do it because I've never worked with anyone else yet, but I thought it was like a really powerful way to try and, you know, create that chemistry on screen because like I don't know, I feel like when I work, you know, like I've made a lot of music with a lot of different people, but the music that's always felt like it sounded the best were the people I had like chemistry with, like relationships with. And because like there's just something more telepathic and magical about it because you just kind of there's a lot more like heart inside of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if there's like a real relationship outside of the work, then like it bleeds into the work. So like, you know, I don't know, it was very strange because like I'm a very open person, but to like consciously be doing this act of like, all right, I'm gonna go be open with this person tomorrow, like it was so much different. And I remember just being like really nervous at first, like sitting in this room and it was like so quiet in this room and just like reading our notebooks to each other. And it was just like, wow, this is like really heavy right now. But it was like, it was neat because it was just kind of like you meet people and there's all these like weird social
Yeah.
cues and all that stuff. But then you just kind of like, it's just kind of like, all right, we're being real now. And it's just kind of like, it's so weird that like every individual you meet is like this complex person with like this whole story. And it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just really cool to like, you know, just like meet somebody and like 2 days later just be like, I feel like I know you, you know, like, and
That's wild. That's wild. That's wild. And she felt the same way. Obviously, she probably told you like that. She said that it was one of the most amazing experiences, just getting to know you like that in such a
yeah,
quick way. What I find fascinating about your performance, one of the things, is that there is not one moment of me seeing you selling any moment. There's not, do you know what I mean by that? There's not, I couldn't spot you acting. And for somebody to have that on your first performance where for not one moment, according to me now, you know, the thing is I'm a really cynical audience member. I'm a cynical film goer. I hate most things. So here I am just watching, ready to be like, she was acting. See that? Not one moment. What were the ingredients that you think went into helping you concoct that? Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, it's very weird because I look back and it feels like it was like a year ago that we shot that movie now, and it feels like 5 years ago
Mm.
to me because I feel like so much has happened since. But the best way I can put it is because I wasn't acting. You know, like I don't know, like it's weird because now that I've been doing like all this auditioning and stuff, and I've been discovering that like I don't know, people are like, it's like acting is not acting. Like, no, you're acting. Don't act. And it's like, wait, what? It's like, wait, I'm supposed to be acting but not acting. And I'm just like, this is throwing me for a loop. It's very confusing. I don't know, like something about like jumping on that set and just being like, all right, I just gotta do what I think I gotta do, and like just kind of like I don't know, there would be moments where I'd be like, all right, I think there's some like I don't know, the whole thing's kind of heavy, and if there's like one thing I feel like I have plenty of to draw from, it's sadness, which, you know, haha, you know. But you know, it was just kind of like, well, I got a lot of stuff in here. I guess I can draw from, you know, plenty of supplies. But yeah, I don't know. I guess like now that I do auditions, sometimes I can feel myself like trying a little too hard, and I'm just
Mm.
kind of like, what did I do for that movie? Because like I'm like, because I'm just like it's because like now I'll be getting like sides and scripts and that are like much more dialogue driven,
Yeah, right.
and this was kind of the opposite of that. So I feel like I don't know, like I'm trying to almost like learn how to do it, but I don't want to feel like fake either. Like I don't know, like I'm
Yeah.
just it's a whole new thing. Like now I just feel like I'm only scratching the surface of this medium, so it's
Yes.
still very new to me, but
Yes.
it's a challenge and I like it.
The intake evaluation scene, the way Eliza describes it is, she had 2 cameras on you very close. And they're 16 millimeter cameras. And when I heard that, I put myself in your position. I was like, it's my first movie. There's 2 film cameras, not like video cameras, not like little tiny things shoved in my face. What was your level of worry with this scene? Like did you feel that this scene had the importance that it feels like it had when you're watching it? Like was it like, all right, that scene's coming up on the schedule, like that's going to be crazy, I have to, or was it just another scene?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I didn't know what scenes we would be doing until like the night before,
Oh,
like because I would get like my call sheet and it would have like kind of like the sides attached to it, and I would be like, all right, that's what we're doing tomorrow. And it would always be like really late at night, like right after I got home from the previous day of shooting. I'd be all tired and I'd be like, okay, we're doing that. And I go sleep. And then I'd wake up.
yeah.
And so like I woke up and I remember just like going in and feeling very anxious. I was very anxious every morning because that was just who I was at the time. And I just remember being like looking at the sides and just being like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, this is what we're doing today. And I I don't know. It was everything just felt like this is what we're doing. Like this is what we're here for. This is what we're doing. And um, I just remember like Eliza pulled me aside and we kind of had like a conversation for a second. I really don't remember what we talked about. It was kind of just like, "Are you ready?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I think so." And um, I just remember getting in there and I don't know. I just remember like doing the scene and like there's just the subject matter is just so goddamn heavy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like being born a woman and growing up as a woman, lots of girls that have been through those sorts of things, and it's just everywhere. And and I always and you absorb that pain from everyone around you, and it just sits there in your chest. So like in this moment, talking to this real social worker, by the way, and just and then all the other factors at play with the cameras and just like I don't know, there's just like this heaviness. Felt like I don't know if it was over the room, but it felt like it to me. And just like when it got to that point where she's like asking those questions, it was just like like it felt real to me. And it just what I mean? Like I know I was like supposed like I know I was saying words that were written down for me, but like internally I was going through something for myself. And that's why like Eliza's mentioned in interviews that she's like they laughed because afterwards they were like, "Can you do it again?" And I was like, "No, that felt too good." Because I was because I mean like I don't know, I for me it was something kind of like healing in that moment for me inside.
Wow.
And so like I don't know if like a lot of people have been complimenting that performance so much, and maybe it was a performance, but I don't know. I felt like I was going through something else, and it just it perfectly lined up with me needing to do that scene. I don't know. It's very confusing to me when I think back, but it was really powerful. It was so powerful.
So during this wild time we're in right now with this pandemic, it's insane. I mean, like, there's so many levels of like disappointment. Like, of course, people are dying. That's the big thing. And then there's everything else in terms of disappointment is on a different tier, of course, from that. And when I think about this movie, I think, all right, thank God they got to Sundance, amazing. Thank God they got to Berlin, amazing. You know, because some people, and I know them, 2 days away from their big premiere at like the Portland International Film Festival, other film festivals, South by Southwest, boom, such a level of disappointment. But the idea that this movie came out and right then it's in the theaters for like 2 days and there's a lockdown, it just seems so unfair and so disappointing. I just want to know how you're processing this disappointment, having this amazing start to this year, and now this whole like lockdown situation, quarantine, insanity at your age. You know, like I can't even imagine what I would be going through at your age during this time. I'd be scared. My anger would overwhelm me. But I want to know just what you're going through.
Yeah, I mean the theatrical release not being, kind of being cut real short. Yeah, it was disappointing, and it's definitely not fun being trapped in the house and all that, but I've kind of come to learn that that in life a lot of things are out of your control, and you just have to do your best to accept them and work with what you have, and and it's okay. An important thing is letting yourself know that it's okay to be sad sometimes, but try to balance it out so you're not like wallowing, but because, there's trying to maintain a sense of positivity all the time is exhausting. So, there's just moments where, I'll just be like making mac and cheese and I'll just be like crying and I'll be like, this is okay. I need this right now.
Yeah.
And, so like doing that, letting myself feel things when I need to feel them, and keeping busy, and playing music and reading books, and I've been like having virtual sessions with my therapist every week, and just doing my best, and trying to keep balanced, and just accept things for what they are, and just kind of do the best to manage it. Because doing your best is what keeps you sane. So and and not putting too much pressure or expectations on yourself. So just doing my best.
That's beautiful. And despite the disappointment with this release of this film, I want you to know something that I believe. I believe this film is for all time. And this performance is for all time. Sidney Flanigan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of IFP, the Independent Filmmaker Project. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.